That this museum was built at all was down to the vision and persistence of this man, Henry Acland. He campaigned long and hard to have a new museum built that would house all the university's scientific collections, teaching and research, a science area in one building. Acland himself collected lots of specimens, many before the museum was built. I would like to tell you first how he was arrested on one collecting trip. In 1846, Acland had gone on a collecting trip round Scotland and the Shetland Isles. He was very successful and soon had 14 cases full of dead animals. He obtained many by a new technique of dredging the seabed. To stop the specimens decomposing, he would normally have used alcohol, but the only alcohol he could find in Scotland was malt whisky, so that is what he used. When he returned to London with his cases of specimens in malt whisky, he was briefly arrested for smuggling whisky. Fortunately, he managed to persuade the customs officer that a wee dram with a dead fish in it was not merchantable. Two other specimens he collected later also caused a stink and a near mutiny. One was a giraffe and another a tuna. Both can be seen in the museum today. Hardly anyone in England had seen a giraffe, so Acland carefully drew the outside and then dissected it and drew the inside. Finally, he wanted to display the skeleton, so he gave the flesh-covered bones to some workmen to clean up. As the museum hadn't been finished yet, Acland needed somewhere where this unpleasant job could be done and asked a friend if he could use his stables near Carfax. His friend agreed, and so the workmen took the giraffe's remains to the stable and set to work scraping and boiling the now quite smelly bones. The process went on for over a week, and the smell got so bad that the stable lads in the stable next door complained bitterly several times about it. Finally, having given up any hope that anything would be done about the stench, they rushed into the stable, kicked over the cauldron full of boiling bones, and threw the giraffe out into the street. A hungry dog passing by rushed forward, grabbed the tail and dashed off with it. If you look carefully at the tail on Acland's giraffe skeleton, you can see that it is a darker colour. That is because neither the dog nor the tail were ever seen again, and Acland had to have a replacement made from lead. Acland caught this bluefin tuna off Madeira. The only box he could find large enough to ship the tuna back to England was a coffin. He had the fish packed in salt to preserve it, nailed on the lid and stuck a label to the outside that merely said Dr. Acland, Oxford, and loaded on the ship. Now sailors at that time were very superstitious, and the worst jinx that you could put on a ship was to keep a dead human body on board. And that is exactly what they thought was in the coffin. Traditionally, anyone who died at sea was buried at sea to avoid bad luck for the rest of the crew. The body was sewn up in a hammock, and the last stitch went through the body's nose to make sure it was really dead. Chains were attached to the feet, and over the side it went with any bad luck attached. The sailors muttered and complained all the way back to England, where the ship was caught in a storm and wrecked against some rocks off the Somerset coast. This was obviously due to Acland, and the sailors were on the point of throwing the coffin into the sea when Acland appeared on deck, dressed in full dinner jacket and bow tie. Amazed, the people on board asked him what he was doing, to which he answered that as the storm was too strong to get to shore, and for anyone to get from shore to the ship, they may as well all dress for breakfast and enjoy a good meal, which they would need, as they might have to do some strong swimming later. Noticing that the sailors were in open revolt, Ready to throw his treasured tuna overboard to rid the ship of bad luck, Acland demanded that they open the coffin. Seeing the tuna, the sailors were so embarrassed by their superstitious panic and the way that they had blamed Acland for their misfortune that they made a special effort to save it and risked life and limb to get it ashore. Chris Jarvis of the University Museum drew these delightful cartoons, and I must thank him for inspiring me with his Acland stories and allowing me to use the cartoons. Do visit the museum yourself to see the giraffe with the lead tail and the bluefin tuna. Beware of the dinosaurs. The one that crossed the lawn is inside, as is this one.